In American history, few names are as recognized as George A. Custer. His image is often heroic, a young general and frontier fighter whose legend was forged in the tragedy of the Little Bighorn. Beneath the fame, however, lies a more complex and problematic truth. The central question of his career is whether he was a brilliant tactician or a reckless gambler whose luck ran out. A closer examination reveals a man whose bravery was undeniable, but whose judgment often led to catastrophe. Custer's impetuous behavior was evident from an early age. At West Point, he was not unintelligent, but deliberately aimed to graduate last in his class, earning 726 demerits, the most of any cadet. He achieved his goal, graduating 34th out of 34 cadets. His worst subject was cavalry tactics. The question arises, how could a cadet who barely passed cavalry tactics survive the academy and be thrust into the Civil War? The answer was timing. After the attack on Fort Sumner, Custer's class graduated early, and he was assigned to the 2nd U.S. Cavalry. In the war, his raw courage brought him to the attention of his superiors. While observing Custer during a reconnaissance balloon ascent, one superior noted, "I saw at a glance that he had courage, but that his courage was impulsiveness." General George B. McClellan offered a staff position after observing his bravery under fire. McClellan wrote that Custer was simply a reckless, gallant boy, undeterred by fatigue, unconscious of fear, but his head was always clear in danger. Custer's ambition for fame was intense, and leading from the front was the most dangerous path to glory. He cultivated relationships with high-ranking generals, and at just 23, was promoted to brigadier general, commanding the Michigan Cavalry Brigade. His promotion was a surprising choice, given his lack of command experience. Was this the mark of a hero or a harbinger of a deeper flaw? He took command immediately, adopting a distinctive black velvet uniform with gold trim and a red kerchief, ensuring he would stand out on the battlefield. He led a brigade in a bloody charge that helped stop Confederate General J.E.B. Stuart's cavalry from attacking the Union rear. His tactic was unorthodox and brave, but the cost was high. In that engagement, his brigade suffered 257 casualties, a number 6 times greater than that of the Union cavalry commander present at the fight. This established a pattern. During the Shenandoah Valley campaign, his brigade performed well, but it suffered from more than 350 killed and 1,275 wounded, the highest loss of any cavalry brigade in the Army. His men adored him because he never ordered them into a fight he did not lead himself. His brand of warfare, however, demanded a heavy price in blood. After the war, a different side of Custer's leadership emerged. How did a commander once adored by his troops become so despised? Assigned to reconstruction duty in Texas, Custer found his leadership style failed without the glory of combat. His veteran troops, who resented still being in the Army, grew to hate his harsh discipline and detached attitude. When soldiers stole food because rations were poor, Custer ordered them whipped. The commander who was once beloved during the war became loathed by his men in peacetime. Custer soon accepted a position as lieutenant colonel in the new 7th Cavalry Regiment, tasked with patrolling the Great Plains. His recklessness continued. What personal motive could drive a command to abandon his post and risk his career? In July 1867, his command at Fort Wallace, Kansas was under siege and suffering from a cholera outbreak. In the middle of the crisis, Custer left the fort with 75 soldiers, abandoning his post. He claimed he was seeking aid, but his true purpose was to find his wife. For this, Custer was arrested and court-martialed. He was found guilty of being absent without leave and sentenced to 1-year suspension. His career was saved by General Philip Sheridan. Needing an aggressive commander for a difficult winter campaign, Sheridan requested Custer's return to duty before his suspension ended. This offered Custer a second chance, but it begged the question, was the victory to come a sign of changed leadership or just another instance of Custer's luck delaying the inevitable? In November 1868, Sheridan sent Custer on a winter campaign. The 7th Cavalry located and attacked the Cheyenne encampment on the Washita River, led by Chief Black Kettle. In a dress rehearsal for Little Bighorn, Custer repeated his flawed tactics. Without confirming the enemy's size, he split his command to attack the village from multiple sides. The attack caught the village by surprise. As some warriors fled, Major Joel Elliott and 20 troopers gave chase. Unknown to Custer or Elliott, a much larger encampment of Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Kiowa were just a few miles downriver. Warriors from that camp surrounded and killed Elliott and all his men. Custer withdrew his main force, unaware of the disaster that had befallen Elliott's detachment. Although Custer extracted his command from a dangerous situation, he should have answered for this rash decision to attack an unknown force. Had he conducted proper reconnaissance, he would have discovered the second, larger camp. Instead, the battle was held as a great victory, reinforcing Custer's own belief that his aggressive tactics were glorious rather than reckless. The final confrontation began over the Black Hills, a region sacred to the Sioux where gold had been discovered. In 1875, after attempts to purchase the land failed, President Grant approved military action to force the Lakota and Cheyenne bands onto the Great Sioux Reservation. The Army planned a three-pronged attack to surround the tribes. Custer was nearly relieved of command after angering President Grant during a congressional hearing, but Sheridan intervened, and Custer was allowed to lead his regiment under the overall command of General Alfred Terry. The plan began to fail before the first shot was fired. One of the three columns, under General George Cooke, was defeated by warriors and forced to retreat 8 days before the main engagement, but Cooke failed to inform the other commanders. The Army also drastically underestimated the number of hostile warriors it would face. Terry ordered Custer to lead the 7th Cavalry up the Rosebud River, while Terry and General John Gibbons' column would move to block any escape. The columns were expected to converge around June 26th. At this point, Custer made several critical decisions. He refused Terry's offer of 2 rapid-fire Gatling guns, saying they would be too cumbersome. He also refused an additional 4 companies of cavalry. As they parted, Terry called out, "Now Custer, don't be greedy, but wait for us." Custer shouted back, "No, I will not." On June 26, 1876, Custer's scouts located the enemy camp along the Little Bighorn River. They warned him it was the largest Native American village they had ever seen. One scout advised him there were enough warriors to fight for 2 or 3 days. Custer arrogantly replied the battle would be finished in 1 day. He dismissed another warning by saying, "You do the scouting, I'll do the fighting." Fearing the village would escape if he waited for Terry and Gibbon, Custer decided to attack at once, trusting to luck as he had done so many times before. He estimated 800 warriors. The camp actually contained around 2,500. He split his regiment of about 600 men into 3 attacking columns and a support column. He sent Major Marcus Reno to charge the southern end of the village and Camp Frederick Benteen on a wide flanking move to prevent escape. Custer himself led the largest detachment of 213 men to strike the center of the camp. This tactic, successful against the much smaller village in Washita, was suicidal here. Reno's attack was immediately repulsed, and his command disintegrated into a panicked retreat, becoming combat ineffective. Benteen found no one on his route and eventually received a desperate note from Custer to, quote, "come quick." He joined with Reno's battered command, but seeing the massive number of warriors between their position and Custer's, they took up a defensive posture and did not advance. No one from Custer's immediate command survived to tell what happened next. 2 days later, Gibbons' column found the abandoned village and, on a nearby hill, the naked and mutilated bodies of Custer and his men. Custer's disastrous end was not unforeseen. His superiors knew his character well. General Sherman described him in 1867 as, quote, "young, very brave even to rashness, but he had not too much sense," end quote. General Sheridan, who had saved his career, wrote, "I feel it was an unnecessary sacrifice due to misapprehension and a superabundance of courage," end quote. President Grant stated it most bluntly, "I regard Custer's massacre as a sacrifice of troops brought on by Custer himself that was wholly unnecessary." Personal bravery is no substitute for careful planning, and luck is no substitute for competence. Custer's luck had saved him in the Civil War and at the Washita, but each time his soldiers paid a high price. At the Little Bighorn, the odds finally caught up with him, and hundreds more died because of their commander's lethal combination of arrogance and recklessness.